to all the Turkish citizens out there. We need to have a little bit of a conversation real quick. I know this video is not going to hit. I mean, this video is not going to be popular with anybody, but the point of this video is for the Turkey presidency. So I just saw multiple videos of a building collapsing after two gigantic earthquakes hit the country of Turkey, and these buildings are just collapsing, and they look most of them look relatively new, within 20 years or younger. And the buildings looked, structurally fine, and they suddenly collapse because of the shift of the top of the building versus the bottom of the building. I don't know if there was no rebar. I just don't know, but definitely no earthquake codes. So once again, hello, Denny Crane. Inshallah and salam alaikum. But at the end of the day, somebody needs to talk to the Turkey president. They need to talk to the Japanese. They need to talk to the Japanese. And they need to get these earthquake-coded buildings immediately. All new builds in Turkey need to have earthquake codes. So this mass death does not happen again in their country. The earthquakes usually don't destroy this many buildings in a normal earthquake-prone territory of the world, like Japan, Taiwan. There's a lot of countries that can take some serious damage without damage to most of their buildings. Mexico has some sort of earthquake standards for Mexico City, so they're not perfect, but for the most part, the buildings stay up. Yeah, the death rate is absolutely asininely insane and not needed, but unfortunately, this should not have happened in Syria and Turkey. See, the problem is these buildings are collapsing like an hour or two after earthquakes. So people are going in thinking their building is fine when structurally the columns are destroyed or half destroyed and barely holding on, and then they collapse under the weight once they break. And you see in the videos, they collapse suddenly, and then they're quiet, they look okay, and then they collapse. And that is caused by the structural damage from the shifting of a massive earthquake. So people are actually... What in the hell? Spain. Wow. So listen, guys, I don't know anybody that's watching this video from Turkey. You need to tell your president, and you need to tell your government in Arabic. I don't know how to speak Arabic, but you need to tell them that they need to put a earthquake code immediately on all buildings. All new builds after all these massive earthquakes end. There needs to be a new structure code for earthquakes in that country immediately. There was so much damage done to the buildings, and they're not safe to live in anymore, especially high rises. If you're in a house, you might be okay, but if you're in one of those buildings, I don't know what they made these buildings out of, but obviously they're not meant for earthquakes. Now, wooden houses, like in America, they can take a large earthquake and should be okay-ish because, most wooden houses can bend. So if you're just like in a little small wooden house, you should be okay for the most part. Damage will be minimal. Maybe drywall cracked or something. But, if you're in a multi-story building and it's not made out of wood, or if it's not earthquake-proof, it might collapse on you. Even with rebar, it could still collapse. This is fucking terrible. I mean, this is really shitty. I mean, I saw a video of people out the windows just looking, and then suddenly their building collapsed while they're inside the damn building, looking out the window, looking at the damage on the outside. I saw innocent people just pass away, man. They were literally in the building, and the building collapses while they're looking outside surveying the damage. They didn't even know that the building was going to collapse. Someone needs to tell the Turkish government, hey, you got to install earthquake, support. There's got to be rolling balls underneath the hospitals. I mean, if Turkey occasionally gets these gigantic earthquakes, they need to earthquake proof their country. I didn't know Turkey had earthquakes like that. I didn't know they did get earthquakes like that. But regardless, they need to earthquake proof everything, just like in California. You get an 8.0, you're gonna get a lot of structural damage, but I don't think the buildings are gonna randomly just collapse on a consistent basis. I mean, it did happen in '94. I remember that earthquake. I'll never forget that one. And I wasn't even in California. A lot of buildings collapsed, but I think new structures had a lot of earthquake so they could bounce around without falling. Look at Japan. They have these gigantic skyscrapers. They went through that massive earthquake that caused a gigantic tsunami, and all they did was just bounce around like like a spring. So hopefully Turkey gets up to code with that earthquake stuff, so this never happens again. Innocent people died today. They didn't deserve to die. And yesterday, they didn't deserve to die. Not the way they did. Being trapped in that rubble, no. It was horrifying. Because everybody has cell phones these days, so you can get images almost immediately put on the internet. Even through massive earthquakes, the cell phone towers are still pretty working, so you can get data pretty quickly through the cell phone towers. Even with maximum shaking and everything like that. I mean, the cell phone towers have a lot of backup and redundancy. That's the reason why people are still able to upload even during earthquakes, tornadoes, hurricanes. I mean, if you've ever seen somebody live streaming at 150-mile-an-hour wind, it's because the cell phone towers are made for almost everything. You got earthquakes, you got tsunamis, you got fires. I mean, the cell phone towers can pretty much just do everything. They can take a beating and keep on kicking. I'm telling you, they can. I mean, there's some towers out there that are fire resistant. Like if there's like a forest fire, the cell phone tower can beam off another cell phone tower. If there's no data coming through the bottom, well, it might still be able to make a signal from another cell phone tower and beam that off of that. Now the generator might get burned up in the fire, and then eventually the cell phone tower is going to go down. But before it does, it takes a lot of beating and it keeps on ticking. So the point I'm making is, even in their country where the massive earthquakes happened, they were still able to mainly use their cell phone service during and right after the earthquake, because just cell phone towers are so amazingly powerful, and structurally they can take a bend and still work. Joseph, what happened in Turkey is disgusting. Something needs to change for Turkey. Something needs to change for their country. So, guys, always be ready for the unexpected. The whole world is collapsing right now. Okay, we're going to be going through a phase with the next 100 to 200 years. It's going to be a pretty nasty phase, but we can get through this together, regardless of the situation. Just relax, just like the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. That movie, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, I think that came out in 2004 or 5. Just relax, take a deep breath. We'll get through this together, and then your children will have to get through this together too. But point I'm making is, get these earthquake codes up to date. As a matter of fact, this whole country should have earthquake codes, in my opinion. Because the earth is always moving, lava's always flowing, magma's always moving, lava's always flowing, there's always natural disasters, and you never know what's going to happen. At minimum, people's houses in America should be at least hurricane proof in areas where tornadoes happen. so that if there's small debris, it doesn't break through the windows as easily or take off roofs, which destroy houses. Make the houses stronger, your house will last longer. There you go. That's my rhyme. Thank you guys for watching. Pray for the people over there in Turkey, please, and in Syria, because fuck, man, it was bad. And it was just such a ghetto earthquake, and the buildings are just collapsing all over the place over there. You know, their standards of housing is not as good as ours here in America. Anyways, thank you guys for watching.